Before we begin, gently like this video if money stress ever made you quietly question whether you're doing something wrong. That small action helps this video reach people who grew up struggling and still carry deep financial anxiety today. Leave a quick comment telling me which state you are watching from, because money pressure feels very different across America. And if calm, honest conversations about money psychology help you think clearer, consider subscribing so you never miss future videos. Now let me ask you something personal that most adults rarely admit, even when their finances finally look stable. Have you ever saved hotel shampoo bottles even though you have not been truly broke for many years now? Or felt anxious splitting a restaurant bill, not because you cannot afford it, but because your body panics anyway? Somewhere deep inside, your brain still calculates every purchase in hours worked instead of actual dollars spent. If that sounds familiar, you are not irresponsible, broken, or secretly bad at managing your money. You are experiencing the long-term psychological effects of growing up poor during your most formative years. My name is Max, and I study how early financial stress quietly reshapes adult behavior and decision-making, especially how those mental survival patterns remain long after your income and lifestyle objectively improve. If you grew up counting pennies but now earn decent money, this conversation was made specifically for you. Because feeling unsafe around money does not automatically disappear just because your paycheck finally gets larger. Here's what most people completely misunderstand about growing up poor and living with long-term financial insecurity. It is not just about having less money during childhood or missing out on certain material things. It is about growing up in constant uncertainty where safety and stability were never truly guaranteed. Your developing brain adapts to survive that environment, even when those adaptations later become limiting. And those survival patterns do not magically disappear when adulthood finally becomes more financially stable. In fact, long-term financial stress can permanently change how your brain processes fear, safety, and decisions. I am not using rewiring as a metaphor here because neuroscience shows these changes are biological and measurable. When children grow up under chronic financial stress, their bodies release cortisol constantly throughout early developmental years periods. Cortisol is designed for short emergencies, not for years of nonstop exposure during brain development, critical childhood stages. Over time, this constant stress physically reshapes critical brain regions responsible for fear regulation and planning long-term behavior. Two of the most affected areas are the amygdala and the hippocampus, which serve very different functions inside. Think of the amygdala as your brain's internal alarm system that detects danger and triggers rapid reactions instantly. For people who grew up poor, this alarm system becomes hypersensitive and activates far more often than necessary. It treats small financial surprises like major threats, flooding your body with fear responses immediately, unexpectedly often today. A minor unexpected bill can trigger panic, similar to facing real physical danger for many adults now daily. At the same time, the hippocampus manages memory, context, and long-term planning abilities for complex decisions ahead life. Chronic stress can weaken this region, making future-focused thinking feel confusing or emotionally unsafe for many people today. Your brain becomes optimized for survival, prioritizing immediate safety over distant, abstract goals and outcomes later on life. This survival mode explains why long-term wealth planning often feels stressful instead of empowering for many adults today. Even when your rational mind understands you are financially stable in the present moment, now logically speaking clearly. The scientific community calls this pattern a scarcity mindset, rooted in early life experiences and trauma responses formed. I often call it poverty brain because it better captures how deeply these patterns feel inside people today. It operates like a security system permanently stuck on high alert mode inside your head. Daily life situations. This system constantly scans for danger, even when your financial environment is objectively safe today overall now, clearly. As a child, this heightened vigilance helped you navigate real instability and uncertainty at home daily, then successfully. As an adult, however, the same mechanism can quietly sabotage wealth building and personal growth over time consistently. Poverty brain prioritizes safety and certainty over opportunity, convincing you that avoiding loss matters more than pursuing growth. It quietly shapes spending habits, saving behavior, and career choices in ways you rarely notice consciously every day. Many decisions you label logical are actually fear-based survival responses learned during childhood instability and chronic financial stress. Let me show you how poverty brain appears in ordinary adult life, often hiding behind reasonable explanations daily. One common pattern is feast or famine spending when income arrives and disappears quickly without intentional planning or long-term awareness. Your brain urges immediate purchases because it doubts money will remain available later for emergencies or security needs. This impulse conflicts with delayed gratification, a skill wealthier households often practice without realizing consistently over time naturally. Another pattern is hoarding items long past usefulness because throwing anything away feels unsafe financially and emotionally threatening. Closets fill with unworn clothes, cabinets with expired coupons, all kept for imagined future emergencies and worst-case scenarios. This behavior is not laziness or disorganization, but a learned response to scarcity during unpredictable childhood environments periods. Debt relationships also split dramatically, with some avoiding credit entirely while others overuse it to feel temporarily secure. Paying cash feels safer, even when low-interest financing would objectively create better outcomes through investing differences over time. Others rely on credit to maintain appearances, fearing lifestyle reduction equals returning to childhood poverty and personal failure. Spending on yourself often triggers guilt, even when purchases are affordable and reasonable within current income limits today. Your brain learned each dollar spent reduced emergency options, so it questions every non-essential choice by default automatically. Career decisions are shaped too, pushing many towards security over fulfillment or growth, despite long-term dissatisfaction risks ahead. Entrepreneurial risks feel catastrophic, not educational, when your nervous system remembers instability from early financially stressful years experienced. Social situations involving money become minefields, leading to avoidance or excessive control behaviors to preserve emotional safety feelings. Declining invitations is often misread as frugality, when it is actually fear-driven protection based on past experiences alone. Understanding these patterns creates distance from them, opening space for healthier financial choices grounded in present reality now. Romantic relationships are affected too, because money discussions trigger fear, control, or avoidance rooted in early scarcity experiences. Some people overspend to prove they escaped poverty, while others become overly controlling about shared household finances. Others disengage completely, believing money decisions always cause stress and are better avoided whenever possible. These patterns are not personality flaws, but survival strategies learned while watching adults struggle financially growing up. Parenting decisions become complicated when poverty brain influences how you teach children about money and security. Some parents overcompensate by giving everything they lacked, while others enforce extreme restriction to prevent future hardship. Neither extreme teaches healthy financial habits because both are driven by unresolved fear rather than intentional values. Poverty brain also distorts how you value time versus money in everyday decision-making processes. You might spend hours saving $5 while ignoring opportunities to earn significantly more during that same time. Your brain learned to optimize for saving money, not for increasing income or long-term earning potential. Insurance and warranty choices reveal this clearly, swinging between overprotection and dangerous undercoverage without rational balance. Extended warranties feel comforting, even when statistics show self-insuring would be financially smarter long-term. Others avoid insurance entirely because paying premiums feels like wasting scarce resources unnecessarily. Investment decisions often stall due to analysis paralysis driven by fear of irreversible mistakes and potential loss. Poverty brain demands certainty, even though investing always involves uncertainty and probabilistic outcomes by nature. While you wait for perfect safety, inflation quietly erodes purchasing power and delays long-term wealth-building progress. Recognizing this pattern helps you see inaction as a decision with real financial consequences. Financial anxiety often reflects outdated programming, not your current income, savings, or realistic risk exposure today. Once you understand this, fear loses some authority over your choices and internal decision-making processes. Awareness creates space to respond intentionally instead of reacting automatically to old survival signals. Credit scores become emotionally charged, representing safety and survival rather than simple borrowing metrics for many adults. Some people check their credit score obsessively, even without plans to borrow, because stability feels fragile. Meanwhile, people raised financially secure often ignore credit entirely, never associating it with basic survival needs. Emergency funds reveal another paradox, becoming both a source of comfort and a trap for opportunity. Poverty brain often demands excessively large emergency savings because no amount ever truly feels safe enough. You might save 12 months of expenses while still feeling anxious despite expert recommendations being much lower. The cost of emotional safety is often missed investment growth and long-term compounding opportunities. As financial success increases, some people feel increasingly disconnected from their own achievements. Imposter syndrome hits poverty brain hard because success feels temporary and undeserved rather than earned. You may downplay accomplishments or attribute progress to luck instead of consistent effort and skill. Windfalls trigger strong reactions, revealing how deeply scarcity programming still controls decision-making. Some people immediately spend unexpected money fearing it will disappear if not used quickly. Others freeze completely, overwhelmed by responsibility and terrified of making the wrong choice. Neither response reflects strategic planning, but both make sense through a scarcity survival lens. Business ownership becomes complicated when poverty brain conflicts with uncertainty and calculated risk-taking, so great ideas remain unexplored because failure feels existential rather than educational or temporary. Some entrepreneurs stay overly conservative, limiting growth to preserve emotional safety instead of opportunity, essentially creating another job rather than building scalable systems that generate long-term wealth. Recognizing these patterns helps separate current reality from childhood conditioning, shaping automatic responses. Awareness is not blame. It is the beginning of updating outdated mental software. Relationships with financial advisors often feel uncomfortable because poverty brain expects exploitation, hidden motives, and potential betrayal during money conversations. Some people distrust professionals entirely, believing financial help always comes with strings attached and the manipulation risks for them personally today. Others surrender control completely, following advice blindly because they do not trust their own financial judgment when decisions feel overwhelming. Neither extreme builds wealth because informed participation is essential for healthy long-term financial decision-making over adult lifetimes. Negotiation becomes especially difficult when scarcity mindset frames asking for more as dangerous or ungrateful behavior in professional settings. Many accept first offers for salaries or raises, fearing pushback could threaten financial security and emotional stability today. Childhood taught them to be grateful for whatever they received, not to advocate confidently for true value in adulthood. Generosity patterns also split, revealing how poverty brain handles giving and resource sharing emotionally within relationships and communities. Some adults become compulsively generous, trying to prevent others from feeling the deprivation they once experienced themselves deeply. Others guard resources tightly, not from selfishness, but from fear of losing survival safety again someday in life. Both responses originate from scarcity programming, not necessarily from present financial capacity or values alignment as adults today. Understanding this helps you separate who you are now from what you learned. Growing up about money patterns. If you recognize yourself in these behaviors, do not panic or judge yourself harshly right now during reflection. Your brain is not broken. It is simply running outdated survival software from childhood experiences that once protected you. Updating that software requires awareness, patience, and repeated safe experiences with money decisions over time to rebuild trust. Start by noticing fear responses without immediately obeying them or suppressing them forcefully during decisions about money choices. Pause, name the fear, then choose actions based on current reality rather than past danger memories and conditioning. Small experiments build trust, showing your nervous system that stability actually exists now in adulthood consistently over time. Each calm decision weakens old neural pathways and strengthens healthier financial responses over time gradually through repetition practice. Change happens gradually, not through force, but through consistent exposure to safety and agency with money decisions daily. Even with higher income, unexpected expenses can still trigger anxiety because your nervous system remembers real childhood financial emergencies. A broken appliance or medical bill may feel catastrophic, even when your savings objectively cover the cost comfortably. Your rational mind knows the numbers work, but your emotional brain reacts as if survival is threatened again. This explains why many high earners still lose sleep over expenses that should be minor inconveniences financially today. Career choices often prioritize steady paychecks because predictable income feels safer than potentially higher but uncertain opportunities long-term. Commission roles, freelancing, or entrepreneurship can trigger panic responses, even when the upside clearly outweighs the risk financially speaking. Your brain remembers instability, so voluntarily leaving a paycheck feels dangerous rather than strategic or calculated career moves. Investment patience becomes difficult because delayed gratification conflicts with survival wiring focused on immediate security and certainty needs. Contributing to retirement accounts can feel like losing safety today, even though logic shows long-term benefits eventually clearly. Your emotional brain interprets money leaving your account as reduced protection, not future freedom for your life security. Food behaviors also reflect poverty brain, including overeating when abundance appears or extreme restriction when spending feels unsafe. Your brain learned to take advantage of availability because scarcity always seemed close behind during childhood years often. Shopping decisions can swing between buying the cheapest option or compensating with expensive status purchases to feel secure. Neither extreme supports long-term wealth because both are driven by fear rather than thoughtful planning and awareness today. Social environments where money is spent casually may feel reckless, uncomfortable, or morally wrong to you internally sometimes. You might overcalculate tips or avoid events, not from stinginess, but from deeply learned caution around spending money. These patterns can strain friendships, even though they originate from protection rather than lack of generosity or care. Ironically, avoiding social opportunities can reduce networking, limiting income growth, and career advancement over time for adults today. Recognizing these costs reframes fear responses as understandable but no longer helpful in your current situation financial life. This awareness prepares you for the final step, intentionally retraining your brain toward abundance and safety with practical daily actions. Retraining begins by separating real financial risk from emotional memories created during childhood scarcity experiences that still influence adult decisions today. This means acknowledging fear without letting it control choices, especially when data and reality suggest safety in current financial situations today. Small intentional actions help teach your nervous system that stability exists now, reducing automatic stress responses gradually over time. For example, spending modestly on yourself without justification can challenge guilt rooted in past survival programming patterns learned early. Another step is investing small amounts consistently to prove volatility does not equal immediate danger anymore in modern markets today. Each safe experience slowly rewires neural pathways, replacing fear-based reactions with measured confidence over time through repeated practice. This process requires patience because decades of conditioning cannot disappear after one rational decision or quick success moment. Compassion toward yourself matters, since shame reinforces scarcity patterns rather than encouraging growth and experimentation with money choices. Tracking emotional reactions alongside numbers helps reveal when poverty brain is influencing financial behavior during everyday decisions consciously. Over time, this awareness builds trust between logic and emotion, allowing healthier decisions to feel safe consistently again. The goal is not eliminating fear, but ensuring it no longer dictates your financial future or limits potential. Wealth building becomes easier when security comes from skills, savings, and adaptability, rather than constant vigilance alone emotionally. You begin evaluating risks realistically instead of filtering every opportunity through worst-case childhood scenarios learned earlier in life. This shift unlocks healthier investing habits, career moves, and spending aligned with present reality and long-term goals ahead. Most importantly, you stop confusing discomfort with danger, which changes everything about decision-making around money choices today. Building wealth then becomes a process of growth, not constant defense against imagined collapse or survival panic cycles. This is how you move from surviving money to actually feeling safe and confident with it over time. If this perspective resonates, remember you are not late, broken, or behind others financially in life trajectories today. Understanding your past gives you power to choose differently now, instead of repeating old patterns automatically again, unconsciously. And that awareness is where lasting financial peace and sustainable wealth finally begin for most people watching today. Before we finish, I want you to understand something important about how far you have already come financially. The fact that you recognize these patterns means you are no longer blindly controlled by them today emotionally. Most people never question why money feels stressful. They just assume something is wrong with them personally inside. You are doing deeper work by examining the source instead of blaming your habits alone for everything today. That awareness puts you ahead of millions who stay stuck repeating cycles they do not understand financially yet. Healing your relationship with money is not about perfection. It is about progress and safety over time consistently. You will still feel fear sometimes, but it will no longer automatically control your decisions around money choices. Instead, you pause, evaluate, and respond based on reality rather than outdated survival signals from childhood conditioning patterns. This is what emotional wealth looks like: calm, flexible, and grounded in the present moment financial decision-making. From that foundation, financial wealth becomes easier to build and far less stressful daily for most people today. You stop reacting to money and start intentionally directing it towards your real values and long-term goals. This shift changes how you save, spend, invest, and choose opportunities over your lifetime with confidence and clarity. It also changes how you see yourself, not as fragile, but as capable and resilient with money decisions. Remember, surviving your past already proves you have the strength to build a better future financially and emotionally. You are not behind. You are rebuilding on a foundation most people never had to examine consciously before. That work is invisible, but it creates stability that lasts far longer than quick wins with money growth. If you take one thing away, let it be patience with yourself during this process of financial rewiring. Progress compounds here just like money. Small changes repeated consistently reshape everything over time in your financial life. You deserve safety, peace, and opportunity, not constant fear disguised as responsibility around money decisions anymore in adulthood. Thank you for being here, reflecting deeply, and choosing to grow beyond survival, thinking with awareness today now. If this video helped you feel seen, gently like it so others carrying similar stories can discover it today. Sharing this perspective helps normalize conversations about money trauma without shame, judgment, or unrealistic expectations for anyone watching. Consider subscribing if you want more honest discussions about money, psychology, and building stability without fear-based advice. This channel focuses on understanding behavior first, because numbers only work when emotions stop sabotaging decisions. You do not need extreme discipline to succeed financially. You need safety, clarity, and consistent supportive systems. Wealth grows best when your nervous system feels secure enough to tolerate patience and uncertainty over time. Each insight you gain reduces emotional friction, making smart financial habits feel lighter and more sustainable daily. Over time, money decisions shift from exhausting internal debates into calm, intentional choices aligned with your values. That calm creates momentum, because confidence slowly replaces fear as the primary driver behind your financial actions. Financial growth accelerates when energy previously spent worrying becomes available for learning and opportunity seeking. This is how abundance thinking actually forms, not through affirmations, but through repeated experiences of safety. Your past shaped you, but it does not have to control the direction of your future choices anymore. Each step forward proves to your brain that stability can exist without constant vigilance or self-protection. Over time, those proofs accumulate, quietly replacing fear with trust in yourself and your financial abilities. You begin responding to money with curiosity instead of panic, which changes everything long-term. This mindset supports healthier relationships, better opportunities, and more fulfilling definitions of success overall. Building wealth then becomes an extension of self-respect rather than an endless battle against anxiety. You are allowed to want more while still honoring the experiences that shaped your resilience earlier. Growth does not erase your past, it integrates it into wiser, calmer decision-making moving forward. And that integration is what transforms surviving money into truly living with it peacefully.